Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Okay, I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope. So I've been sent this video by a listener. Goes by the Simple Man. This is the Simple Man's point of view.
Hey Jay, what's going on with this stuff up in Townsville over the weekend, Jay? Guns going missing from the car? What's going on?
3 a.m. in Townsville, four thieves head for an apartment complex ready to hit parked cars. It didn't take long to steal this black BMW, but their next target is an unmarked police car.
The police vehicle had firearm and ammunition securely stored within the vehicle. Unfortunately, the offenders have gained access to the vehicle and have managed to steal the firearm and the ammunition.
As the alarms are sounding, they pry open the locked complex gate. Then, with their haul, two hooded thieves hop into a Holden Commodore. Meanwhile, the black BMW is smashing its way out. It then backs down the driveway and the group eventually takes off. 7 News understands the weapon they stole was a police-issued handgun plus multiple magazines of ammunition.
We've got a very significant operation underway to try and locate the vehicles, the firearm and the ammunition.
The officers involved had been conducting inquiries in the area and had left the car parked. An investigation will now look at how the thieves managed to get away with a police lockbox.
We have very specific requirements around the storage of our firearms. Certainly from a policing point of view, we'll conduct a thorough investigation.
But right now, their focus is tracking these thieves down. Jordan Quinn, 7 News.
Two videos that we just saw. Obviously, the one coming from the Simple Man's point of view, calls himself the Simple Man's point of view, wanting to know what was going on with the firearm and ammunition that was stolen in Townsville. Looking at the video, listening to that report, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Thieves had broken into a secure car park, just stumbled across an unmarked police vehicle. The time frame there seems like they were able to get into that vehicle and out with the firearm extremely quickly. Now, I do have quite a bit of experience with safes, gun safes in police vehicles. So when I was in my role, I had several gun cases. I won't tell you exactly how they worked, but you had one that you could get into quickly, but you needed the code, and they were bolted to the vehicle. You could have ripped it out if you had, but you need tools to do it. Unless there was an ability to jimmy the lid up, and even then you'd still need tools to do it. It'd take a bit of strength, but you'd need a little crowbar or something to be able to do that. With the report that they just put in, that they said on Channel 7 there, it sounded like the thieves have gotten away with the lockbox, which begs the question, why wasn't the lockbox bolted down to the vehicle? It needed to be secured to the vehicle itself. The only way you should be walking away with the lockbox is if you physically cut it out, like cut out metal and walked away with it. But they were in and out extremely quickly. If it's not just the lockbox and what the reporter says isn't right and they've just gotten away with the gun and ammunition, and if it was actually in the lockbox, and assuming that QPS haven't just described the glove box as a lockbox, which technically you could say, well, it was in the glove box, because if memory serves me correctly, you are allowed to, when I was there, you could actually store your firearm in the glove box as long as it was locked. So is there a chance that it was in the glove box and they were able to jimmy that open fairly quickly? Because that would be a lot easier than the floor safes, than the gun safes that you put in the vehicle. So yeah, if they have gotten away with it and it's not in the lockbox, have they somehow been able to get through? Have they accidentally or just pure luck? Have they gotten the code? Just pressed a heap of buttons, or did they already know the code? Or have officers been so slack that they haven't bothered changing the code from when you get it from the manufacturers, the lockbox from the manufacturers, and then the thieves have just jumped in, hit the first four numbers that they can think of that you get with a lot of things when you just get them from manufacturers, and it's popped open and then they've just walked out with it. Everything happened so quickly. Now, secondly, is what was it? What was this inquiries? What were these inquiries that the police were doing that they then felt the need that they should just leave the vehicle in a car park? Really? The inquiries are so important that they couldn't? What was the reason why they couldn't get back to the car and drive? Had they decided to imbibe in a few libations while they were doing these inquiries? And then they thought, well, I can't really drive, so I'll just leave the car there. Or was it maybe that they've gone and made inquiries and they've come across people they've known and then they've just left the car there? Is it that the vehicle that they were in, wasn't actually made, so it doesn't have the extra safes, the extra lock boxes that they actually need, where they should be locking their firearm in? And like I said, they've just put it in the glove box. That's the lock box. That's the secured lock box that they've used. And what was the nature of these inquiries? And what kind of police officer was it? Was it actually a Townsville police officer? And if it was, well, why didn't they just drive back to their station? Had they been drinking? Had they seen someone that they had to catch up with? Was it an officer from out of town? Something like the role that I used to do? And then again, why was the firearm so easily to get? There's far too many questions, and it doesn't really make sense. None of it really makes sense. And what really frustrates me is the vagueness of the statement that comes from Queensland Police. Everything's so vague, and they're going to look into it, find out what's going on. There's a major investigation that's been opened. Are we going to know what happened to the officer? Are we going to know the full extent of what went wrong? And is the officer really going to be held accountable? And not just that officer, but all the people involved who made those decisions in these inquiries. Is everything? We can't have true accountability within our police service if there is no transparency. And this is what's frustrated me for a long time with the Queensland Police Service. They tell us that they want that they're telling us these things because they want to be transparent and open. That's why they report these things that go wrong. But they only give half a statement. They only give part of the information. Someone's really screwed up here. We need accountability, but we also need transparency. The public needs to know what went wrong, how police have failed, and how can we prevent this from happening again? What are Queensland Police doing to prevent this from happening again? I don't believe their story. I've got to be honest. I have my own. I don't believe their story. It doesn't make sense for a local copper to be driving around and then leaving his car with the gun parked under the building. That's just my thoughts. So I hope I was able to shed some light for the simple man's point of view. You let me know what you think. And hey, if you ever got any questions that you want to ask, like some serious questions, not just having a flipping go at me about something. If you want to ask something, send me a video. I'll see if I can answer it for you. My name's Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
Straight ahead, got my head in the game with the red light on. I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low, let the wind take hold.